Okay, I will go ahead and get started. I'll basically first introduce all of you guys. The panel is called From High School to College, What to Expect and How to Make the Most of Your Experience. And we have Avika Patel, who is a CS student at Stanford. She's a fourth year computer science student. We have Sreya Muppalla. She is a third year CS student at UCLA. And we also have Saniya Randhawa, who is a CS student at UC Berkeley. If you guys would like to, you guys can give a brief introduction of yourself as well, like right now. Shreya, would you like to get started?
Yeah, sure. Hi, my name is Sreya. Like Sneha said, I'm a current third year at UCLA studying CS. Um, I guess I'm like really interested in AI, specifically like LLMs and computer vision. I've also interned at a couple companies in the past, like Dell, Meta, and Microsoft. But I'm excited to speak to you all today.
Hi, I'm Saniya. I'm a sophomore at UC Berkeley studying computer science and business. I'm really interested in the intersection of technology, business, and finance. I hope to go into PM. I interned at Estee Lauder this past summer. And I'm still recruiting for this summer, but I'm hoping to go into software engineering or product management or tech consulting.
Amazing. Hello, everyone. I'm Avika, current senior at Stanford studying computer science. My interests generally lie around human-computer interaction that can definitely have applications in AI. I would say my previous experience started in startups, worked at like 4 or 5 of them, then worked at Meta with Sreya, and then this past summer at Jane Street. Most of my roles started in software engineering and then ended in product management.
Well, thank you guys so much for your introductions. I think, yeah, go ahead and get started with the questions. So, since all of you guys are majoring in CS, we're assuming that your interest in technology probably started around high school. So, I think the first question is, how did you guys first become interested in technology?
I can go on this one first, but basically, I would recommend joining programs. Like, there's a lot of programs offered there for girls and guys who want to pursue a degree in CS, specifically for girls. I participated in Girls Who Code summer immersion program. So if you're in high school, I'd really recommend to participate in this. Um, Usually, you can, I think, sign up around this time. And then I also did Code with Clossie. It's another woman in STEM empowerment thing. And then from then onwards, I did start my own chapter of Girls Who Code in high school. So I think the biggest thing to get into technology is to join stuff that promotes technology and empowerment for women, at least. That's what I did. And I got really interested in it. I love the community of girls that I was part of. We did a bunch of amazing projects, and I would recommend just diving into it. If you want technology, joining clubs at your school. I'm sure there's Girls Who Code. I'm sure there's a bunch of clubs in CS and just looking around for maybe starting projects, online certifications, just putting whatever you can in the internet and doing your way.
I can go next. Yeah, my experience probably started with like similar like organizations and slash like clubs. I was part of like math and coding, which is like this small, I think sort of small organization in like Bay Area where I got like experience with like Java and Python. I also think like taking classes that are like related to programming in high school can help. And like what Sanya said, like joining clubs that like build a really great community of like women or even for guys, like there's probably really good like tech clubs around school. I definitely recommend joining that and like asking your mentors in clubs for help if you have any questions. Yeah.
Yep, I my first start in CS was actually a library program. They were teaching the Lego robotics, the ones where you drag and drop and they kind of move based off how you coded them. Didn't start CS before that. It was like very simple. Obviously, it was drag and drop, but I like the idea of like thinking about how to make something move and then it moves based off of that. Um, my recommendations, like you guys are all here, so you're probably interested in CS to some degree. I would say kind of run with that. There are programs that we kind of talked about earlier, but some other things you could do is you could take classes at community colleges. Try things that are not in like the direct line of CS you've done before. So I did this one class where you would code LEDs to like simulate a parking garage, but like seek out those types of opportunities that are very different from what you're currently going towards. and you'll just find like maybe cooler aspects of CS that you find enjoying. And then the second thing I would say is you also have like a little bit of CS probably from classes. If you could extend that and maybe teach another person, so this could be volunteering in your library or maybe even starting a very small class. I think I learned most of my CS through teaching in high school, and so I did like HTML, which is how you code a website. I didn't know how to do it before that, but after starting that, I got a lot more better at it.
Also, one more thing I wanted to add was that you can also do certifications, like she mentioned. My brother did like a few certifications in Amazon that are really cool on his resume, and they just help with like if you're interested in cloud development or in that pathway, just looking online and like looking at projects you can do. And yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, I think that's a great transition. Like in terms of projects or activities, like what other extracurriculars did you guys do in high school that you think helped benefit for like college applications?
So we can go in reverse. Let's see. I definitely did a lot of stuff at school. I think clubs are the biggest way where you can just like stand out to at least teachers and then within your school community. I'm not sure like how familiar you guys are with the college app process, but my school doesn't rank, but the rank is still submitted. And so that is only a small portion of your entire application. I think a bigger one is your letters of recommendation. I looked at my college app after I got accepted, and the things that they highlighted the most were the letters of recommendation. So making those stand out is probably best through the clubs that you are a part of and that you might lead. And then the second one is, I think I like briefly touched on this, but just going out into your community. Whatever you're good at, I bet there's a spike in that. And then try to just share that with other people, especially other people who might not have it in the schools that they're a part of. And that could make you stand out as well. I did something similar. I taught website development, robotic development, and then like circuit building.
I can go next. In high school, as she mentioned, I think it's important to join clubs. I started DECA at my high school as well. So I think that's a great experience. Joining like business clubs or CS clubs are really important because they give you a lot of exposure. Like for DECA, you go to conferences and I think you learn a lot when you go to conferences. And they're really important overall for your own development, which I think helped me a lot. And I also did a lot of community college classes. Every summer I took a different math class. So I think that was really important as well. And overall, I think as she mentioned, community is really important. I volunteered at Kaiser for my entire high school life, and so I think that's really important to also give back to the community. I did math tutoring, and overall, I think I just recommend like volunteering, joining clubs, just getting out of like the bubble and getting out of your comfort zone, taking classes that interest you, maybe starting your own club that interests you, just leading. I think leading is really important, doing projects, certifications, whatever you can find online that like really like motivates you and you're passionate about, I think is really important. Like she took a few, Avika said that she did circuit building, which is so cool. Like I think that's so interesting and I wish I did that. But like I think it's really important to follow your passion and do things that you like to do.
I kind of agree with what both of them were saying. I think one thing to add on is probably trying to like get like leadership positions within clubs because that can definitely stand out on applications. And you also gain like a lot of great experience like talking, organizing events, also like building a really good relationship with your teacher because like Avika said, like getting that really good rec letter is really important. So I think yeah, getting good leadership positions. I also think like if it's possible, like if you have a LinkedIn, like try reaching out to other mentors online, like maybe at specific companies or maybe colleges that you're interested in joining, and they'll be able to give you good advice on like what they did to get into school. And you can see like what their extracurriculars were. I heard that I didn't do Cosmos, but I know Cosmos is also like a really popular program. But yeah, like there's probably a lot of students who are also related to STEM, or I don't want to assume that, but if there are any other students who are like related to like interested in STEM, I'd like ask them also like what they're doing also over summer so you can get an idea of what people in your school are doing to like, I guess, build interest.
Oh, all right, thanks for listing some of the programs, Sanya. Yeah, I think that would answer also like the opportunities question. Like, I mean, do you guys have any other information of like how people can get opportunities even though they don't have like a lot of experience because they're young? Like Sanya, I know you just said that you you worked in Kaiser for a bit or like interned
Yeah,
there?
yeah. So I volunteered at Kaiser. I think the biggest thing I just applied online and went for an interview, but I think like looking for stuff in your community you can participate in, like nonprofit stuff. One thing I wanted to add is also maybe do an internship if you can. Like I interned at a local library and I interned like as a software engineer at another company. Just as Sreya said, just like reach out on LinkedIn. I feel like LinkedIn's like one of your biggest thing that you can do. Apply online for high school internships. Just look around. I don't really have advice for applying specifically, but I would just like look around to see what you interest you and again like apply to that and like anywhere you can volunteer anywhere like hospitals you can volunteer at I have volunteered at senior citizen house like you can do anything you want to do so just apply online I would say.
Yeah, I think with all these opportunities, it's takes up a lot of time too. So, how did you guys exactly manage your time in high school to do all these clubs or like extracurriculars? Or like any tips?
Yeah, that's a really good question and something you have to always be conscious about. I think what I did is my strat was do a lot of stuff first and then see what I really vibe with, and then after that hone in on those. I think you'll like when you read online, you might see like the spike. I call it like what makes you tick, basically. But when you find that, like you'll see time goes a lot quicker when you're doing those things, and then just like focus on those. After that, how to manage time, at least what I did was I would do school and then I would do my homework in the library at school. And then after that, I'd play a sport. And then anything once I was home was like extracurriculars, clubs, and like internships, volunteering, etc. But I tried to like time box. That was my strategy. We got to figure out what works for you. Yeah.
I can go next. For time management wise, I think like time boxing is really important too. I also did that in high school. Just like prioritizing what you want to do first is the biggest thing as well. Like I think based on deadlines, prioritizing what you want, again, what you want to do first, what you have to do first, do that. And then I think just making sure you're on top of your work and you don't fall behind. When you have homework assigned, try to finish as soon as possible. Do it that day only, or like go to the library, as she said. But just make sure you're always on top of it. It's okay if you get fall back a little bit. I am a procrastinator myself, so like I'm not the best time management person, but like I got through it and eventually I know you can as well. And I know it's hard like to juggle all this stuff, but it gets easier. And as she mentioned, you do something you're really passionate about, so like time goes by faster and you don't really mind it. And like as I said, I recommend like first like as a freshman in high school, you should do whatever, like join whatever clubs, see whatever you like, and then as time goes on, like specifically like stay in the clubs that you really like and are passionate about and climb up to leadership positions in those clubs only. And that will also like reduce the time you spend in clubs because you're only going to be in like a select few that you really enjoy. But yeah, I think just do things you're passionate about and just I think the biggest thing is just learn. Like I think in high school, the biggest thing you can do is just learn and gain knowledge and experience. So I think that's what you should be focusing on.
Yeah, I mostly just prioritized doing a lot of schoolwork before like extracurriculars because I knew like schools like check GPA like a lot more. I felt like so I was prioritizing that a lot. And like I think it's important like if you ever fall behind, it's like important to like immediately try to catch up because like high school goes by really quickly. So you don't want to miss a lot of information. So like even if you feel like oh it's not worth trying to catch up, like it's never too late to start catching up. I guess that's my advice. But yeah, I also procrastinated a little bit too. Yeah, that's my advice though.
Okay, thank you. So, I think now we're going to go more on like your college experiences related questions. So, I think what were you guys really surprised by when you like first joined the college you're in? Like, how was the culture? Like, did you find anything like surprising about that?
Okay, I can go first to this one. I go to Berkeley and I have always lived in the Bay my entire life. So coming to Berkeley wasn't that much of a culture shock. But it is a really difficult school. Like I knew it was difficult and competitive, but I didn't realize it was to this extent. Also just everything is very exclusive and difficult to get into. Once I feel like I would feel really bad for junior transfers because it's really hard to get into groups because Berkeley's very cliquey overall, which I did not expect. People there form their groups and they don't really get out of it in Berkeley. And also, club culture is very difficult. If you want to get into a club, I think getting into a club is even harder than getting to Berkeley itself. We have like top consulting clubs on campus and like business clubs and tech clubs. And if you want to get to a club, the application process is horrible. You have to do coffee chats with members. You have to go to events. And this is prior to submitting your application. Once you submit your application, you have to go through 3 different rounds of interviews, technical, behavioral, and social. And they even cut you after social round, even after you go through technical and behavioral, which sucks. Like, imagine being cut after your social round. That's so sad. A lot of my friends were cut and they were definitely like, that's not fair. But it's just like there's so much bias involved in these clubs as well, because it's students running, like my peers are running these clubs. But they're amazing opportunities if you do get into one. I'm in HBSA House Business Association, so that's really important for me because I want to join Haas next semester and apply. But if you get into the clubs, I think it's a really cool opportunity. And I think you should start from freshman. Like my advice is start from freshman year. My brother's also a Berkeley. He just came as a freshman, and the best advice he did was join clubs, and he got into one, which is amazing. But yeah, I just recommend like trying to join clubs on campus. And I know it's hard, but just push through it. And I think socializing is also a really big thing. Like making friends is difficult when you come into college because it's like such a big school. Like UCLA is pretty big. Berkeley's pretty big. Stanford, I know it's like smaller because it's private, but yeah, like Berkeley, like it's like difficult. There's so many people and there's so many limited resources for us that you have to like fight for everything. It's so competitive, but that's like something I didn't expect, but I guess you have to just get through it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. For me, I think we all have a goal, right? Like we're all applying to college. And then once you get to college, I think you reach a phase where it's like we accomplished a goal and then what do you do now? And you're thrown with all like at least for me, I was thrown with a lot of opportunities that I didn't know what to do. I don't know what to pick, kind of similar to the last question. And so you kind of do everything. And I guess my biggest advice for this is sit down, figure out what you actually want to do. Choose clubs for sure. That's like a very, very good advice. I think you find a lot of your closest friends and also the peers that you might end up working with in the future through your clubs. And they also might be very similar minded, but diversify your clubs. So choose pre-professional ones, then choose social ones. So I'm in the South Asian Society. I'm also in like computer science ones. I'm also in business ones. And then I'm also in ones that are like purely cultural, like just trying foods from other cuisines. And so do all of that. You do meet a lot of friends. I think the other thing that surprised me is just like not boxing yourself into one mentality. So if I came in as CS, being very open to just trying new things. So I took an anatomy class last quarter where I like dissected actual like brains and stuff like that. Very different from what I've done before, but be open to that. College is for that. When you exit college, you're going to be working a job that's super niche, so you'll never get that chance again. And so do it while you can.
So yeah, I think for me at least when I came to UCLA, like I thought I knew what I wanted. Like there's like this developer club called like UCLA DevX that I really wanted to join. I was like all for it. And then once I got in, it was like not the way I wanted to work out. And they decided let me do a different team in that club. And that didn't work out. And then I finally went back to trying out research and I really enjoyed that. So I think like even if you think where you know you're going, like especially CS seems like such like a formulaic like process where you just get in the school, then get the job. I feel like if you still don't know what you really, really want, so you should just be really open to trying out different like aspects, like even within CS or like Avika said, like other areas in the school that they provide, whether classes or clubs. Just being really open to like I guess like restarting and being like, okay, it's okay if I didn't start this exactly at freshman year. You can still start learning stuff at like junior, sophomore, or even senior year. That's definitely something I wish I had known instead of like panicking every time I did something wrong. But yeah.
Yeah, Avika's right on that aspect. I came in as a soft like CS major and I took business classes and I really enjoyed it. So now I'm a double major. And like I probably would not have double majored if I didn't take classes that were not CS orientated. So I think definitely like take classes that interest you and maybe you might end up double majoring like me.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm actually gonna switch the moderator to Twisha because I think she just joined right now. And yeah, sorry about that. Just give me 1 minute for that. I think, oh, actually, how about this? I think we can go to the next question. Yeah, I think you guys basically told about your clubs in college, but what exactly have you guys been doing in those like the clubs you guys are in college right now?
Okay, so I would say my clubs, there's like two really big ones. Women in CS is my biggest one. What we do in that is there's 10 teams ranging from like internal profession development, just teaching people how to code. Then we have industry relations, so like actually connecting with companies. And then there's like the whole outreach aspect as well, teaching high schoolers and middle schoolers. And so each of those 10 teams do something different. And seeing all of that happen is super exciting and also very motivating. So I really like to spend my time there. My roommate, and honestly, a lot of people's roommates are found through Women in CS, like if you're a part of the club. And so like big plus one on community through clubs. Another one that I'm a part of is BASIS, which is some acronym that basically means entrepreneurship. And so this one is also the same aspect, just being a part of a club where people are very motivating and doing projects that you can just like hop in on, whether it's in like a very small consulting capacity or maybe even sometimes joining their team as like a builder. And then the last club I'm a part of is South Asian Society. So this is more of a cultural one. This one we just like host cultural events, cultural parties, eat food, go to events, go to things like that. So that is also how I met another one of my roommates.
So I'm in 3 clubs right now. I'm in CSK, Computer Science Kickstarter. It's dedicated. So I participated in CSK when I first came into Berkeley as an incoming freshman. It's a 1-week program dedicated to girls in technology who incoming freshmen who want to pursue a career in STEM, technology, data science, anything like that. And we basically that first week we basically take them to companies like Meta. We've taken them to Meta, by the way, this past week. We took them no, this past August, we took them to Meta and we take different companies field trips. They talk to a lot of top execs and we also teach them some coding, but only if there's so much you can learn in 1 week. We introduce them to clubs they should join on campus and like help them prep for the club like process because it is pretty difficult. And right now I'm in the marketing committee, so I help out to outreach and like creating flyers and just marketing in general. And I'm in DARE, diversity and inclusion in real estate. I'm pretty passionate about DEI, so we are like trying to represent underrepresented groups who in real estate because usually it's very people who are Caucasian. So like in real estate, usually you see people who are Caucasian. So we want to promote people who are more underrepresented in real estate. So we're going to New York this end of this semester because the club started from Cornell. So the Cornell club really wants to meet us. So they're going to fly us out. So I'm really excited to go to New York. And then I'm also in HBSA, Haas Business Student Association. I'm also in the DEI committee, and we work on anti-bias, pro-diversity initiatives. And in fact, right now I'm planning a multicultural night and a diversity, equity, inclusion case competition with McKinsey and Goldman Sachs and like a DEI Shark Tank type of thing. We're trying to contact the Shark Tank people, but that's going to be very difficult because I don't know if they will want to be contacted. So, but yeah, I definitely recommend getting involved in clubs. It's a lot of fun.
I'm not part of like any clubs as of right now, except like I guess like ACMAI was one where like it's kind of like voluntary. Like you just go in any quarter and you work on like Kaggle competitions for AI and you just get to meet people while learning like new techniques. So I've gotten experience with like a lot of NLP stuff and computer vision related stuff. I think right now I'm like my main focus is like doing a lot of research. So I've been working on around like 3-ish projects. One of them is like understanding like the psychological depth of like LLMs, which has been pretty cool because I'm being introduced to like prompt engineering, which I think is really useful right now with LLMs in general. Another project is like well, the other 2 projects I'm working on are like combined where we're trying to predict like a pandemic from a Twitter data set. And it's like an extension of a paper already. So we're right now like doing a lot of annotations, which is a little tiring and kind of boring, but it will get fun hopefully if we run models. I think yeah, I'm just mostly focusing on research as of right now, but I do think that clubs are a really really great way to like meet people in like undergrad as well. I think like the research you end up meeting a lot more like grad students, which I wanted to try out so I can see like what should I do like after graduating from UCLA, like whether to do like a PhD or a master's or just straight up go into the workforce. But yeah, I think that's about it.
Jared, can I ask you what type of research are you doing? Like
It's
projects based?
it's mostly related to NLP. Like, is there like a specific question or
just like
Really.
what if one of the projects you're working on? Because I think it's so cool to like do research.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so one of them I'm working on is like understanding like a psychological depth behind LLMs. So right now I'm using like mostly ChatGPT because we don't want to waste resources. And we've like made this sort of like ontology thing where like we've defined a couple metrics, and first like human annotators, which is like me and two other researchers, are like measuring how well like these LLMs are producing these stories given a prompt. And then we're like evaluating them. And then we're gonna run that same story on the LLM again to see whether they also evaluate at the same level that us humans do. We're trying to get it very similar so that we don't continuously have to keep annotating. But that's like one of the projects we're working on, which is pretty cool because it like started from scratch and I get to like be part of the whole process. And it's not very smooth. It's like you think you have a deadline, but it just keeps getting pushed back.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think prompt engineering is such a cool like career path now I think about it. Like just like writing questions for ChatGPT. Like that's like I do that every day. Like imagine doing that for a job. It'd be so
Mhm.
cool and fun.
No, yeah, you have to like write a lot for LLMs, which is a little annoying sometimes because I'm like, okay, isn't it kind of obvious? But no, it's like back to programming where you have to like be very specific about what you want to happen. But it's still pretty
It's
cool.
very impressive, Shreya.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tvisha. So I'm how differs from the coursework in college and like the amount of time you spend on homework and the difficulty of it, and especially like comparison with take AP and DE classes. Like, what's the correlation with college level courses and DE level?
This is super college dependent. I think you have to do your research before you pick a college. I think all of us are going to provide very different ranges. At least for the college I go to, we are known for grade inflation, and that is definitely the case. Like you can spend very little time depending on the classes you choose. You can get very in depth as well, and then those could be homework intensive classes. But like when you're picking a college, there is a range from like very difficult to very easy, and then even when you pick classes within the college, there's a range. For me, I think I still spend the same amount. Like I still max out on my units, but most like a lot of my units are pass fail or like very random classes that have nothing to do with CS, so it's a little more manageable. And so it is very intentional on how you do it. At least my strategy is I take two CS classes per quarter, and then I take one business class, and the rest of the units are for something I've never learned before, and that's usually how I split it up, and it's usually very manageable.
Sorry, what was the question? Just you cut off a little bit when you were asking.
Right. I asked how would you correlate the difficulty of high school classes? How would you compare it to the difficulty of college level classes, especially in like AP and DE where they say that it's the college credit course. So how does the difficulty differ?
Okay, that's a really good question. So personally, I think the classes in college are much harder. That's just my opinion compared to AP classes. Berkeley CS classes are very difficult. They're like weeder classes. So I've definitely been struggling a lot, and they're just very intense and project driven and project focused, which I know AP classes are not. And it's just like I had to do a project for Gitlet, and it was like if you're not familiar with Gitlet, it's a very difficult project where you have to like write the Git commands, like Git in it, or like you have to like write it from code, and they have to work from your own program. And I wrote approximately 1,500 lines for this project, and it was a lot of work, and I had to do it in like 3-4 days. So I spent almost every second of every day doing it. And just like one thing people don't tell you is like Berkeley classes are very difficult. Like I don't know whether it's just me or anybody else, but like they're just like you have to always stay on top of your work. They're very difficult. You don't get much help because again, it's a big school, limited resources. It's just I would just say it's difficult and harder than AP classes. But certain classes are easier, like business classes, I would say. Like I took a few business classes, like econ, and they were equivalent to like what I took in high school. So I just think it's the CS classes that are difficult, which I think they're prone to be. But otherwise, I think business or the my breadth classes I took in anatomy or sciences are pretty similar to the ones I took in high school.
No, yeah, I took a Berkeley course and it was definitely very hard. So that it totally makes sense that you feel that way. I feel like UCLA, I don't know, personally, I think they're as difficult or like maybe a little harder than high school. I think I just struggle in general with like new concepts, so I have to spend a lot more time for me. Whereas I feel like in high school, like a lot of them was like just like the tests were hard, like the concepts itself weren't that hard to understand, if that makes sense. So I feel like in UCLA, at least the classes you have to like spend a lot more time, and I don't know, I just generally find them harder. But I think the good thing is that I feel like at least in high school you're pressured to like keep up that really, really perfect grade. Whereas in college you can maybe like be a little bit more free about it. And I get to like if I take that attitude, I'm like spending more time with the TAs or professor and like asking them like questions about the topics itself. The other thing is like, well, I guess Stanford and UCLA, we both are like quarter systems, so we only have like 10 weeks for a class, which kind of is a little sad sometimes because I really want to spend time in some classes, but good if I don't want to spend time in classes also. Yeah.
Also, I want to add one thing. This is us speaking in hindsight. Like when we were in high school, I'm sure all these classes were incredibly difficult. I definitely had classes where I like was tearing my hair trying to figure out how to write an essay. So in hindsight, college classes are more difficult, but they were very difficult when we were in high school as well.
Also, one more thing with college classes, I think they're more like free in a way that I can do whatever I want. I don't have to go to lecture. I don't have to go to discussion if I don't want to versus high school classes. So that could be a reason why it's harder for me because I don't choose to go to lecture or discussion sometimes. So that's also one more thing to keep in mind.
And with such a demanding schedule, especially with the majors that you guys are taking, how do you find the balance between work and school life and your own social personal life?
I think the work hard, play hard mentality really goes here. Again, like when we talk about time management, making sure you always just complete your work on time. I usually like to complete everything by the weekend. So before the weekend. So in the weekend, I can go out to parties and just meet with my friends. And I think it's important, like when you take breaks in the day when you're studying, maybe you go to the library and study with a friend. That's a good social way to like get work done and also have an interaction. Or maybe when you want to get food, you invite friends over to cook. Now that I'm in my own apartment, it's a little difficult to like make plans because before we used to just go to dining hall and have lunch, dinner, breakfast, but now we have to like organize when times to cook. So I think it's really important to take breaks and hang out with people the other day. Like I like to go on walks with my friends, or I like to like I have my car, so I drive around, go to different places. Just study with them in the library or have them come over and we cook together or we go out to eat food. Yeah, I think it's important to maintain a social interaction because otherwise you just get really burnt out. And you don't want everyone to get burnt out because then it just leads to like a diminishing work of return. So just make sure you're always like making that balance because I think it's really crucial to have that balance.
Yep, so true. There's this funny meme I saw once where it's like you can only pick two or three things. It's sleep, work, or social life. And in college, it's honestly kind of the case. You'll pick and choose two of the three, like in an ebb and flow. So that sometimes it'll be like social life and work, and you'll be totally missing out on sleep. But then that catches up to you, so you have to figure out your sleep. Um, in general, you got to figure it out. It's very difficult. Everyone does it differently, but I think it's one of those things where you come and you just like do it, and it will work out. But it will work out.
I don't know if I have like a good plan, but I feel like the first 2 to 3 weeks is like when I have like the most fun, like going to beaches or like hikes. That's kind of like we just do it on the weekend, and then after that, like all my friends, because all my friends are like also different majors, so like their midterms like have different times than my midterms. So like after like week 3, like everything kind of just doesn't really work out with planning. I guess like sometimes it's important like to like meet up at dining halls if it's possible, if you're living in the dorms. I don't know. I don't really have good advice for this. I don't think I have the best balance for this either.
That's okay. Thank you. And again, I'm shifting the topic a little bit, but I was wondering why choose this field and like what really drove your interest in this field? Because I know everyone has their own reasons, everyone has their own unique reasons as to why they chose it. I was wondering what are your takes on that?
I can go first. I feel like for CS at least, it's very easy to like intersect it with other fields, which is why I really like it. So I think right now I'm like I really like writing or like I love reading a lot. So that's why I've like been really interested in like NLP, and that's just very cool that I get to intersect those two fields. So that's one big reason really why I like CS. I also really like it because it's kind of like easy to like it gives like really quick results a lot of times. Well, not for I guess models, but like in general, it gives like a lot of quick results if you're trying to debug stuff, which I think my attention span is very short. So it's like easy to like fix problems that way, I guess. And you also get to, I think in a lot of fields you get to meet a lot of people, but I think CS it also applies really well where you can get to meet people in like different aspects of CS, whether workforce, research, professors. That's kind of, yeah, the main reasons why I chose it.
I think I'm in CS because I think it's a very high growth field. And I think our future is AI, technology, innovation. And we're already like seeing that with ChatGPT and everything. And I really want to be in this innovative field. I like to create stuff. And I think that being a CS major, you get to create things, whether it's building apps, building websites. And I just think it's a super cool field. You'll just learn so much about everything. And as Sreya mentioned, you can mix with other majors. Like I'm gonna do business, so I can go into product management, or I can do technology, invest in banking, or technology consulting. Like there's such a good like overlap with CS because it's so technology based. And I think it's really important to have a tech background these days, if you did want to pursue a business degree. But I think just having a tech background is very important. I think it's a really high growth field. And you learn a lot. Like I think it's very interesting what you learn. Whether it's just there's just so much to learn in technology in the space of it, and artificial intelligence is so cool. Like I don't know, I want to get more into AI and machine learning. But yeah.
Yeah, I think when you do things, you'll find what you really like. I think tech, especially because, like everyone said, it's kind of everywhere. If you're doing something in bio, you're gonna run into tech. You're gonna have to learn a little bit of coding just to do like the imaging of cells, or as an example. And so the reason I like it is also because you can get stuff done very quickly. Like if I was doing research in bio, the it takes 6 months to do something. It takes a year. You need grants. In CS, like once you learn the skills, you're super cross transferable. I don't need to get another certification. I don't need to get more funding. Like I can just try and build a prototype and just see how it works. And so it's really nice. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I also think so. I talked about product management. Saniya was also talking about that. What that basically means in a role, if you guys haven't heard, is like there's a tech space, but if you wanted to create a new project, kind of thinking about how do you take that from just an idea to an actual product. And I like the strategy a lot. I think thinking about strategy is super fun. And so doing that with a tech background is really helpful because I can think about it like actually what can be built and what are the limitations of being built, and it can like directly correlate. So it's just I think it's just really fun, and I'm always doing something new. Like every day is different, and I think that's what makes it most exciting.
Yeah, PM is like launch, build, and execute. So like you launch, you like build whatever you want with like your CS background, and then you like launch it and execute it with like your business background. That makes sense. Like that's a combination between it. So sorry, build, launch, and execute. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys were talking about how there are so many different options as a CS major. What do you plan on pursuing in the future for yourself, or what are your career goals and things like that?
Maybe I'm the most farthest into this. So I think it always changes. Like I used to have a 5 year plan and like a 10 year like thought, but I don't think that works anymore. It kind of changes all the time. And so something I want to do like in the short term is just work on very exciting projects that make me think in ways that school doesn't make me think. And then in like the longer term, probably working on some social driven projects. So using the skills that I have and like maybe some of the savings that I have, working on something that can help the world. And so this could be in a startup form, this could be in a nonprofit form, but there's a lot to be done and a lot that can be done with CS. And so hopefully doing that. But I don't know in what capacity this will manifest, but this is just like the goal.
For me, I don't really know what I want to do with my life yet. Like I'm still figuring it out as I go. I'm a sophomore. So I don't know what I want to do. I've been applying to internships like that are consulting, investment banking, software engineering, PM based, so like very like a wide range of things. I'm still trying to see like what I like to do. I did do a PM internship the past summer. I liked it, but I don't know if I want to pursue a career in PM. So I'm trying to like see different things, look at different aspects. I think that's really important to do in college, like look around, dip your toes in different interests, do different internships. So I think it's just really important to like look around, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I don't really have a straight answer about like what I want to do. Hopefully in a year or two I will.
Yeah, like for me at least, yeah, it just keeps changing throughout my college career. I think at first I really was looking forward to like doing really like startups that like just started, like if it's like 2 to 3 people. But now I'm like thinking maybe I want to do like more research related stuff. Like I know a lot of big companies have like research groups. That's something I'm interested in right now. I don't know if I want to like I think I want to do masters at least after undergrad, but I don't know about like PhD or like going into workforce. But like, you know, and it probably will change in another year or so.
That's really interesting. I think that's all. Thank you all so much for coming out today for the summit. I would like to introduce our next speaker. Ms. Ritu Jyoti is Group Vice President, Worldwide Artificial Intelligence and Automation Research with IDC Software Market Research and Advisory Practice. She's responsible for leading the development of IDC through strong leadership for AI research and management of the worldwide AI and automation software research team. And her research focuses on the state of enterprise AI efforts and global marketing trends for the rapidly evolving AI machine learning, including generative AI innovations and ecosystem. Ms. Jyoti also leads insightful research that
Wait,
addresses
Trisha?
the
Wait, actually, we can wait for like 5 minutes, just like to give a little break. Sorry about that.
sure,
Ritu,
no problem.
yeah, we'll start you at around 10:35, if that sounds good.